Thank you. And I ask Roxanne to read Who is an Addict.
Well, as he said, I'm Roxanne. I'm a recovering addict. Hi, Roxanne. Hi, everybody. Hi. Most of us do not have to think twice about this question. We know our whole life and thinking was centered in drugs in one form or another. The getting, using, and finding ways and means to get more. We live to use and use to live. Very simply, an addict is a man or woman whose life is controlled by drugs. We are people with the grip of a continuing and progressive illness whose ends are always the same: jails, institutions, and death.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Thanks, Roxanne.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I asked Mike to read how it works.
What we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. These are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, we made a searching and fearless long inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them and others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. Sounds like a big order, and we can't do it all at once. We didn't become addicted in one day, so remember, easy does it.
But do it.
There's one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. 3 of these that are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. With these, we are well on our way. I'm going to get closer to the mic. We feel that our approach to the disease of addiction is completely realistic, for the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. We feel that our way is practical, for one addict can best understand and help another addict. We believe that the sooner we face our problems within our society and everyday living, just that much faster do we become acceptable, responsible, and productive members of that society. The only way to keep from returning to active addiction is not to take that first drug. No. If you are like us, we know that one is way too many, and 1,000 is never ever enough. We put great emphasis on this, for we know that when we use drugs in any form or substitute one for another, we release our addiction all over again.
What about the juice?
The juice, yeah. Thinking of alcohol as different from other drugs has caused a great many addicts to relapse. Before we came to NA, many of us viewed alcohol separately. But we cannot afford to be confused about this.
Why is that?
Alcohol is certainly a drug.
Damn right.
That one I know from experience. We are people with the disease of addiction and must abstain from all drugs in order to recover.
I asked Jeff to read the daily meditation for today.
24th, letting go of the past. It is not where we were that counts, but where we are going. Basic text, page 23. When we first find recovery, some of us feel shame or despair at calling ourselves addicts. In the early days, we may be filled with both fear and hope as we struggle to find new meaning in our lives. The past may seem inescapable and overpowering. It may be hard to think of ourselves in any way other than the way we always have. While memories of the past can serve as reminders of what's waiting for us if we use again, they can also keep us stuck in the nightmare of shame and fear. Though it may be difficult to let go of those memories, each day in recovery can bring us that much further away from our active addiction. Each day we can find more to look forward to and less to punish ourselves for. In recovery, all doors are open to us. We have many choices. Our new life is rich and full of promise. While we cannot forget the past, we don't have to live in it. We can move on. Just for today, I will pack my bags and move out of my past into a present filled with hope.
Thanks, John.
Everybody hates
All right, I asked Laura to do the clean time countdown.
They're very good. They went quick. Should have done.
So how this is going to work, she's going to announce a year, and if you fall into that year, stand up, and you'll probably get a bunch of applause. So. And the person with the least amount of clean time, we actually have a band that says recovery is everywhere, and then we also have a coin that says to thine own self be true, and then on the back it has the serenity prayer. So, without further ado, Laura.
So I'm Laura. Gonna do clean time countdown. I think we're gonna start with 30 years and go down from there. Is there anyone with more than 30 years? Just to be clear. Okay. And so I think how we're gonna do this, we're gonna try to go around in a circle.
What?
Around in a circle? Or are they just gonna stand up? Okay, that'll be easier. Okay, so does anyone have 30 years? 29. 28, 27. Nice. 18. 17. Where was I? 16? 17. 17. 16. 15. 14. 13. 12. 11. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5.
standing up there too, by the walk.
18 months.
Yeah!
1 year.
I have 16 months. 1 year! Yeah!
11 months. 10 months. 9 months. 8 months. 7 months. 6 months. 5 months. Nice. 4 months. 3 months. 2 months. 1 month. 29 days. 28. 27. 26. 25. 20. 24 days. 23, 22, 21, 20. 19 days. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. days. One day. Just for today. Because they're awesome. And Gina, this is for you.
That was awesome. That was so cool. Okay, now I'm going to introduce my sponsor, Pat. It's funny because I was asking him if he wanted some entrance music, and I didn't have time to get it ready, but. It would have been Eye of the Tiger, I believe we decided. Yeah, the intro to Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, that's...
I met Pat actually at Hope Haven. He was chairing one of the meetings. And I was actually homeless at the time. And his girlfriend Laura, actually, I was on my way up to the Capitol. And I asked her for a cigarette. And I could see her NA tags, and I was kind of pointing them out. I was like, yeah, I've tried that before, you know. In a very, very dark place. And she asked me if I wanted to go and, go with her to do her laundry. And I was like, well, I don't do anything, so sure, why not? Went, did her laundry, and then she's like, hey, I'll take you to Jimmy John's. She fed me, and then she took me to Hope Haven where I met Pat. Later, I actually continued to live on the street for about another 15 days. And then I committed some crimes, and I ended up in jail. Was in jail for about 15 days. And when I got out, I went to Tulare. I was on the bracelet for about 7.5 months. And actually, Pat was the first guy that I asked to be my sponsor. And he couldn't at the time because he was going through some issues. So I've had 2 other sponsors, and I'm just so grateful to have him in my life. He's taught me a lot. Every time we get together, we share, and it's just back and forth, back and forth. He's never talked down to me, which is awesome. He's a great guy, so let's give it up for Pat.
Is it okay if I sit? I will. My name is Pat, and I am an addict. And I don't know what I'm doing here. There we go. Can you guys hear me? Yeah! Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Brandon for sharing his anniversary with all of us. That first year is a bitch. I really believe that, a celebration for one is a celebration for all, and that's why I'm really glad that we did the Clean Time Countdown, so that everybody can be recognized. I've decided, because I spoke in the past, and a lot of the time that I spent in front of people was talking about how awful addiction was, and all of the excuses that brought me to using. and I decided not to do that. I'm not going to bore you with how awful addiction can be because I think most of you know. And I'm not going to bother with telling you about my childhood because it doesn't matter where we come from. We all end up in the same kind of despair and hopeless situation when we get here. So, I will say that addiction started for me way before. Hold on a second. Can I turn this off? Yeah. I don't know where the switch is. Hold on. This one? Okay. Okay. Good. There's a lot of buzzing. So when I say that it started at an early age, before drugs, before alcohol, before all that stuff, I felt powerless in my life. And in an effort to try to exude some power, I would do a variety of things. How many people ever stole before they had to do it to get drugs? Okay. How many people started fires? Yeah, I've got a couple of scars. And that, for me, looking back on it now, you know, was a way for me to try to give myself the illusion of control. You know, like, look at what I can do. Look at how I can alter this thing and make it into something different. That was a big part of my life. And I got into a significant amount of trouble because of it, which, you know, kind of gave me this label as being, you know, a delinquent and whatnot. And that kind of attention didn't really bother me because I was getting attention. What I would do is try to push the limits as far as possible. And, you know, in doing that, like I said, I got a lot of attention. I created a lot of collateral damage, which can be followed up on pretty easily. So, albeit very irrational, drugs were almost a logical choice. If I can't break the world without getting into some trouble, maybe I can break myself and nobody will complain. I got really into the whole image of being rebellious and being, you know, a little badass. That became my whole image. And I carried that image with me through most of my life. In fact, I would say it's only been in the last year that I've like really addressed some super deep-seated issues that have slowly started to kind of break down those walls and, like, you know, get through the ego to find who I am. And I still have no idea. You know, I mean, I'm winging it, really. Most of the time, I don't know what the hell's going on. I still catch myself, though, sometimes portraying an image, you know, because it's what I think people want to see, it's what people want to hear, and then you will like me for it. It's really hard to be honest with myself sometimes, and, you know, granted, I've been clean for nearly 3 years. I struggle a lot. I have to face life on life's terms now, and, well, that was never something I was good at. So, you know, hold on. I thought that if I spaced out, I'd have these little notes, try to be prepared. Oh, okay, yeah. So, my sponsor is quick to remind me a lot of, or by asking me the question, what are you powerless over? No matter what my issue might be, whether it's difficulties with a job or a friend or, school or life, whatever. Ugh, excuse me. What are you powerless over? And I always thought that like the answer was going to be different somehow. Like, what does he want? What does he need? And the answer is always the same: obsession, compulsion, and self-centeredness. When I look at obsession throughout my life, it's usually me pointing my finger away from myself, of course. It's other people, circumstances. It's everything else that I just cannot get my mind off of, and I get stuck on what I'm pointing my finger at, that I can never look at myself. And what I'm learning to do is to surrender. I still don't even know what exactly that means. But I know what it feels like. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's basically when, I let go. And letting go was an obstacle for me throughout most of my recovery, because I would obsess over what am I letting go and giving it up to? Higher power. That used to really, really be a problem. Because I want to know. I want to know what I'm giving it up to. I got to be certain. I got to be sure. I got to still feel fucking powerful. Even in giving it away, turning it over, I got to make sure that I know, and I'm still holding on. So, fairly recently, I've kind of let go of that whole idea and trying to figure out what that is, what kept me what kept me alive all those years. Because believe me, I was really trying hard to go the other way. So it doesn't matter to me anymore. It just matters that I can feel okay letting go. And I'm learning how to do that with the help of my sponsor and all of you and the literature and, life in general, live and learn. Compulsiveness. I'm still really compulsive too. Like I said before about that image of kind of being like the rebel, that really gets into my, my lack of thinking, is what I'm trying to say. I get led by my ego, or you call it addiction too. When somebody says like, "Oh, my addict is really strong today," like for me that's my ego, that's trying to pull the strings. And when that happens, I tend to be kind of a dick. I'm sure I've offended at least half the people in this room. And that's only because I don't know the other half, So I try to stay wise to that and make conscious decisions nowadays. Although it's hard because, and this kind of brings me to self-centeredness, is that I can still really easily become the victim or the hero. One of the two. I have to be one or the other. I have a hard time still finding that middle ground, where I'm not a victim, but I'm not the hero. I'm just here. It's. I think it's common for most addicts, to either be way up or way down, and finding that middle ground is where most of us, I think, would like to be, ideally. But all that other crap gets in the way. So, like I said, I'm not gonna bore you with the details of the horrific endeavors that I experienced in my using, but I would like to share with you the last week of my using. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. On May 31st of 2009, I had the opportunity to to get some heroin because for a long time that was my drug of choice. I kind of moved away from that in a half-assed way and just started drinking for like 4 years straight because it's cheaper, basically. But you know, heroin for me was kind of like, you know, the really awful relationship, you know, that you know you shouldn't be in, but like every time, you know, she comes to town and knocks on your door, you'll let her in anyway. Kind of like that. So I had this opportunity and I took myself up on it. At the time, I was living in a tent over on the east side by Highway 30 with me and my dog Buddy, who some of you know. And I was thinking like, well, you know, I could just hold on to this and I could go back to my tent and I could, you know, bang it away. And then I was like, oh shit though, you know, because I drink every day. And I know that when you mix opiates and alcohol, people have a tendency to stop breathing. That happened to me quite a few times. And I thought, like, well, if I go there and I die, who's going to take care of my dog? Because I didn't trust any of the people that I hung around with to take on that responsibility and to be good to him. And so, I don't know, so I didn't do that. I went to somebody's house who I'd never met before. Somebody took me over and I went into the bathroom. Well, actually, before I went into the bathroom, I told the guy who brought me over, like, hey, I'm going to go into the bathroom and I'm going to do this thing just to let you know. He's like, well, what? What's going to happen? Are you're not going to overdose? Or I'm like, probably not, but I'm just going to let you know. Just, you know, like that was my way of being accountable, I guess. So I went into the bathroom and I did it. And I didn't do all of it because, again, I was like, well, I don't want to fall out, you know. For those of you who don't know what falling out means, it's overdose. So I went and I did it, and I came out, and I sat down on a chair on this porch, and I started to roll a cigarette. Next thing I know, I'm being assisted by like medical personnel, and I'm looking up at everybody, and apparently I did a little too much, and I overdosed again. In the 9.5 years time from the first time I did heroin to that day, I survived, including that one, 13 overdoses. So, like I said, I mean, it's really hard for me to dismiss that there's something out there watching out for my ass. But I lived, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't grateful. In fact, it really kind of pissed me off because I really was tired of what I was doing. I didn't want to live like that anymore, but I didn't know any other way. So when I survived that and I'm looking around like, what? Really? Are you serious? I wasn't happy. I was at the hospital and they told me they were going to charge me with possession of narcotics because I still had some stuff on me, and I wasn't very excited about that, but they wanted to keep me in the hospital overnight because I'd stopped breathing for so long. They wanted to monitor me, and I escaped from the hospital. I talked the doctor and the nurse into letting me go outside to smoke, and I had called a friend to come pick me up, and I still had like the IV thing in my hand, and I'm like, I'll be right back, I promise. And I took off, went back to my little tent, and the next day I did the same thing that I did every day. I tried to use whoever I could to make means to get some booze so that I could not shake, so that I can maybe eat something. And then I had to go and find my dog, because that was pretty devastating. And for the next week, I just kind of roamed around in what I kind of describe as sort of like this limbo period, where I really was confused. I didn't understand why I was still alive. I didn't understand where to go from there. I was more lost than I'd ever been. And I was downtown this one day, and I had, the night before I I got like a half gallon of booze, and through the night somebody had stolen it. So the next morning I went to go find this guy, and I found him at Peace Park when it was still Peace Park downtown, and he was shit-faced. And I was just waiting for him to walk away off the street, and then I was going to beat him up, to prove my point, because I was so highly principled. And I'm just waiting for this. And the guy got up, and he took 2 steps, and he fell on his face. And he broke his eyebrow open. And for some reason, I don't know, I helped him up. And I had a bunch of napkins in my back pocket, and I gave them to him. And I was sure to inform him how lucky he was that he did that to himself, because I was planning on doing much worse. However, at the time, I weighed like 119 pounds, and most of that was my liver, so I don't know how badly I could have hurt him. But he was taken away in an ambulance, and I felt sorry for the guy. Like I was trying really hard to stay mad, and I kept his backpack, and in his backpack I found another half gallon, but of like cheap vodka, like this much, and I mixed it with something, and I'm drinking that just so I can stop doing this. And I'm sitting there, and it was the beginning of June, and it was really cold, and I found myself in this situation, kind of like in my head, where like, this is it. This is my life. This is the best it's ever going to be, ever again. Because I had disappointed everybody. I had wronged everyone that I ever cared about. And I had no way out. And for the first time, I had said plenty of times, like, oh man, I don't want to deal with this kind of shit. I don't want to deal with this shit. But I never said I don't want to do this. And that day, I did. And I didn't know what I was talking to or whatever, but I was just like, you know what? Either give me something different or open up the ground behind me and let me just fall in, because I'm done. I was so done. And in that most perfect moment, the Madison police come walking up. They're like, Mr. Kemper, how you doing? Oh, hi, we've been looking for you. And I was like, I thought you might. No, I knew they were looking for me, but I called every day after I left the hospital to check to see if I had a warrant, but I didn't have one. I was a person of interest, is what they call that. It wasn't a warrant, but. So they took me to jail, and I was absolutely relieved. I really was. It was like the first kind of relief I'd ever felt. It's like, oh, thank God. Of course, I still had my dog, and I had to worry about that. I had to hand him off to like somebody that I didn't really know very well, and that stressed me out. But other than that, I was happy to go. And then I got to jail, and I was there for a couple days. And then when I'm standing in front of the court commissioner, and he's looking at like my history, my criminal record, and he says to me, he's like, I'm looking here, and everything from like when you were very young had to do with alcohol or drugs, one or the other. I'm like, yeah. It's like, well, have you ever thought about maybe not doing that? And I'm like, well, yeah, sure, I've thought about it. And then he told me about this program, this DART program, where it's like people that are, in trouble and facing charges can be let out on a bond, but then they have to go to treatment. And at that moment, it was the first time I'd ever felt hope. I didn't know what all that meant really, but I knew that it meant change. It meant something different. And that's really all I was looking for at that point. I wasn't even looking for better, just different, would be fine. And I went and I fought my way through that program. Was almost kicked out a few times because I had no way of regulating my emotions. Well, I guess because I never really felt them properly. I dampened down every emotion, good or bad, for so many years that I had no experience in being level-headed. So I went there and I got through the program, and then they offered me something else. They offered me a place to go afterward because I knew I'd have to go back to the same people that I was using with. And I knew that was the wrong way to go. At that point, I had no delusions that I was going to somehow maintain in that environment. On that level, at least I was honest with myself. And it's been steady since then in sort of an upward curve. My life has changed so dramatically from living in that tent with my dog back in 2009. I've met some of the best people I've ever known. Most of you are here. I've come to accept who I am a little bit more, which is great because this is what I got, you know, and this is what I have to work with, and you know, and I got into school and found out that this shit actually still works. I'm not even joking, but I'm still an addict, you know, so I have to kind of live my life accordingly, you know, and when I get overwhelmed by life and what's happening, you know, I start obsessing again, and when I do it, like, I'm a little bit quicker now to recognize it, but not all the time. Or maybe sometimes I am, but I'd still rather be mad. I have a lot of people around me that can remind me when to surrender. They notice when something is wrong, and they're happy to tell me. And I'm a little bit better at receiving it now. In battling compulsion, I know now that I can make a conscious decision. I am not ruled by anything. You know, I mean, yes, I'm powerless over obsession, compulsion, and self-centeredness, but that doesn't make me powerless over everything. I can make conscious decisions, and I can choose to do the right thing, no matter how good or bad it might feel. And overcoming self-centeredness, that's a tough one. Humility is still not my strong point. That really was my idea to have Eye of the Tiger play as I came. Just the beginning part, just the music, you know, just dun 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 dun. That would have been awesome, and my ego would have loved that. You know, I was thinking about, you know, like, you know, about being nervous about coming here and talking to all you people. This is probably the biggest group of people I've ever spoken in front of, and I don't know a lot of you, so I've been pretty nervous. And I was like, well, I'll just be myself. And when I think about that, I'm reminded of some reading that I've been doing, and you know, about ego and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, when I'm trying to be myself, I'm still trying to be something. You know, and I don't want to try to be anything here. I just want to just come up here and just be honest. You know, I just want to tell you the truth about, you know, what addiction is like. You know, like kind of the defining turning point and how my recovery works. You know, that's really all I want to convey here. And by accepting, you know, just my humanness, you know, just the fact that I'm a human, you know, I'm a human being, you know. You know, I think it helps a little bit to just try to stay calm, not have an agenda too much. I mean, yeah, I made some notes, but that's just to keep me on track. But, you know, I just want to be present. And I was trying to look for something to kind of give me some insight. So I actually, what I did today is I kind of went back through some of my step work, and there's this one question that's in the step working guide about have you made peace with being an addict? And I did write this down because it still means a whole lot to me, and I'd like to read it. I am an addict, and I can exist like that. But more importantly, I am a recovering addict, and that is something that I can live with. The emphasis being on live. You know, I can live today. You know, I don't have to exist. I don't have to simply survive. I can live. I can breathe. You know, I can feel the blood moving through my body. I can feel the emotion when somebody shares about something that means something to them. I can, you know, I can feel. You know, I can feel alive. Going to meetings, working the steps, and sharing openly with others, and evaluating my motives. You know, that's really important to me now. You know, I have to really take a good look at where I'm coming from when I, you know, get something in my head and I intend to do it. You know, I gotta know, is this coming from a place of love? Or is this just something that I just want to do because I just want to stick my hand in whatever, you know, I can. I'm censoring myself. I don't believe this. But, you know, those are things that I can enjoy doing. Facing fears, feeling my feelings, being present, and focusing on the here and now. These are all things I must do in order to recover. Now, when I say recover, I don't necessarily think about, you know, recovering from the disease of addiction. I try to think of it more in a lighter kind of way, in that I'm recovering who I am. You know, beneath the ego, beneath the scars, beneath the pain. You know, there's something here. You know, that is you know, some way pure. You know, and I feel like being a recovering person, you know, it's almost kind of like I'm uncovering, like I'm washing away all the crap, you know, to reveal like the real me, who I am. Not what I think I should be or what you want me to be or what I'd like to be, but just who I am, and finding acceptance in being that. By doing all of this, I get help in learning to know and love myself. I am happy, proud, and privileged to call myself an addict. More specifically, an addict recovering. Honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way. And I really believe that. I think recovering addicts or alcoholics, but recovering people have a leg up on most of the world, because we can be, even though we're terrified as shit most of the time, we can be so in tune with what's happening with us. If we can get over the fear, you know, we can really use that to our advantage and really kind of find a oneness with things. And I feel fortunate for that. By staying clean and keeping honest, I have the opportunity to help others to do the same, and that is an honor and a gift, and so is this. Thank you very much. I'm gonna throw it.
Okay, just take it easy. You did really good.
Okay. That was awesome, Pat. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's kind of funny. I wanted my sponsor to speak, and I guess I didn't really think about speaking at all. And my mom told me that I should.
Listen to your mother.
What?
Listen to your mother.
I know. I gotta listen to my mother.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
They know
I'm
best.
gonna listen to my sponsor who tells me to listen to my mother.
Mothers know best.
That's right.
I'm not gonna go into too much detail about where I came from. I'm gonna kind of just tell you guys where I'm at today.
Awesome.
I love my life today. It is so awesome to see each and every one of you here. You guys are my support network. Seriously, if I decide to jump off this stage right now, I know that I'll have 10 people jumping for me. So, is that a good simile? Alan, you're gonna catch it. No, basically, I'm just up here to thank, number one, the people that helped set this up.
Yes.
That includes Derek's parents, Dwight and Cindy, includes Derek, Danielle, Dave in the back there,
Your mother.
Alan.
Your mother.
I'm getting there. I'm gonna say the best friends. Lexi helps. I'm sorry if I didn't mention your name.
Scott.
I'm getting there. Settle down. To help me plan this party, I had some awesome assistance by the lovely Rachel over there, over by the lunch table. She helped me get all the soda and just talk about the planning, and she really helped me, get the room looking awesome. Her and Ellen helped decorate the room. So thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. I want to thank the band that's gonna rock this stage in about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I also want to thank my family and my friends, family friends. Thank you guys for being here and support. You guys are all sitting at the table. Love you all. And my parents, both my mom Peggy and my dad's Mark. I love you guys so much, and thank you for sticking with me, giving me unconditional love. Thank you for kicking me out of the house. For real, you saved my life. You saved my life. I honestly don't have much else to say. I'm so happy that you guys are all here. It is my 1 year. It's an awesome day, but this is also bringing everybody together for one common goal, and that's to, that recovery is possible. It's everywhere, Also want to plug Recovery Bowling Thursdays.
Shameless!
9 to 12 p.m. Bring $5.
There's no thing. You coming back?
Also,
Take it easy.
thanks, Mike. Also, apparently Mike just broke up with me on Facebook, so I'm really disappointed in you, Mike. That's a joke, by the way. Thank you all. Finish the rest of the food, because it'll probably go to waste. Grab some soda. If you haven't got cake yet, get some cake. And Jimmy Murray and the Haymakers are about to take the stage. So enjoy. Oh, I guess my dad wanted to come and say a few words, and I guess if anybody else wants to come and say a few words, they're more than welcome to take the mic. So thank you.
still amazing. Even at, how old are you, 24, 25? Kid still draws a crowd wherever he goes. And what a great looking group it is.
Just for yourself.
I gotta get this out of the way. There's been a ton of rock guys who want to do this. Check, check! A year ago at this time, I had to have Brandon arrested. It was the hardest thing I ever did. I still think about it daily. And I just want to thank where we are today from a year ago. It was really rough. I'd like to thank his mom for all the conversations we had, convincing me he was doing the right thing. I don't know, is Greg still here? Greg around me? He left. We had got Brandon in pathway home, and he was there about, what, 24 hours? And he got kicked out. And I was so mad at him, but in retrospect, that was the thing that made me realize that was what had to be done. Long story short, he's moved forward, went through a bunch of different treatments, and I'd like to thank any and all of you who have at some point supported or helped my son. But I want a special note to you, Dustin. You went through a lot. We went through a lot together. I remember all those times we made plans. We'd always work around Brandon, you know. You had to make sure he was around. And then we were making plans, making sure without Brandon, because we just couldn't take it anymore. And Steph, I know I'm rambling, but he was always talking about you, how the disease affected. I know you guys have a special relationship, and everything was very important to him. I'm just so proud of him. I don't know what to do. I'm trying to get through this without crying, but I also want to, before I'm going completely out of order here, but I want to apologize to everybody, because I have, not this group, but I've judged a lot of people in my day. I put addicts over here and certain other people over here. Well, why don't they just do this? Why don't they do that? Why should I be supporting them? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All of you people have helped my son, and probably helped a lot of other people through your experience, whatever it is. We'll take it day by day. But I don't want to be that person that does. I know it's the old cliche, well, you don't think it'll happen to your kid, but it did. My name is Mark. My son is Brandon. He's an addict. And I love him regardless. And hallelujah, this is a great day. I really want to do some fun stuff, like, you know, like I've waited my whole life to, like, embarrass you. Old school! Dustin, this is what your car sounds like going on the street.
That was so funny.
One day at a time.
1 minute at a time.
Wait. Easy. I just want to tell him something quick. You next, don't worry about it. I'm JP, I'm an addict.
Hey, JP.
That was awesome.
I want you to know that even though we don't know too much of each other, you inspire me to keep myself clean. I will then most likely keep coming back. And I hope in my year, you can come to my party.
I'll plan it for you.
Yeah, it's just possible. So, also, I want to let everyone know that I'll be singing tonight. So, just any requests you want. Probably some kind of like La Mamba type of thing. And I'm still working at being my sponsor charity. Yeah,
son, man. Okay?
I'm the mom.
Hi, Mom.
I just want to thank everyone for being here, supporting Brandon, and all your support along the way. I'm a crier, so I used to go those two school meetings, and when you go around and introduce each other, I had a hard time getting my introduction. So I'm like, why are we here? We shouldn't be here. But anyways, that was the past, and this is the future, and I'm so proud of Brandon having a year under his belt. So thank you for all of you for being here and supporting Brandon. 1 year and the rest of his life to go, just like his case says. So thank you, and I hope you get a chance to sign the poster. Again, thanks for being here.